My brother told me I was destined for minimum wage. Years later, he came begging for my help. My younger brother Curtis was the once-in-a-lifetime genius, or at least that's what my parents believed. They'd tell me to make my own dinner while serving him with a 3-course meal just because he got another A. If I asked them to buy me a club to play golf, the only thing I liked, they didn't even look up from their phones before saying no. Then they ordered an ergonomic chair and a new desk for Curtis the very next day. My practice space was basically a patch of dead grass with a net I bought myself. Meanwhile, Curtis had a temperature-controlled room where he'd play video games until 3 a.m. while claiming to study. When I won the regional championship, I came home to an empty house. They were at Curtis's Science Olympiad 2 towns over. "Oh, was your tournament today? We forgot. Curtis's Olympiad was more important anyway," Dad said later. When I made varsity golf as the youngest player in school history, they didn't even look up from Curtis's report card. "Straight A's again. You're the best son I could ask for," Mom beamed. The worst part? He'd leave his room trashed, energy drink cans everywhere, food wrappers under the desk, and laptops thrown on the floor. But somehow, I was the irresponsible one wasting my time on sports. The night before state championships, I found my Cleveland wedge, my lucky club, snapped in half on my bed. Curtis stood in the doorway, shrugging. I thought it was a walking stick. Besides, golf is what dumb jocks do when they can't handle real academics. Our parents made me apologize to him for yelling about it. "You're the older one, act like it," Dad said. Curtis is stressed about his future. College arrived with predictable fanfare. Curtis went to MIT at 17 with our parents' full financial backing, plus emergency funds. "Our little genius," Mom cried at the airport. I was already at state on a partial golf scholarship, teaching 4 a.m. lessons at the country club to cover expenses. "At least Tyler got into college," Mom would tell relatives, like I'd exceeded their basement-level expectations. Curtis got into MIT at 17, but Tyler's doing his thing. Curtis called home weekly freshman year, boasting about how easy MIT was, how his older classmates were amazed by his brilliance, and how recruiters were already circling. Our parents put him on speaker every Sunday dinner I attended. "Tyler, you should hear what Curtis is accomplishing," they'd say, while I sat there after teaching for 12 hours straight. But sophomore year, the calls stopped. Big projects, he'd claim during his rare check-ins. Meanwhile, I was building something unexpected. Those 4 a.m. lessons, they were with CEOs and surgeons who paid $200 an hour because I had a gift for fixing their mental game. The club's head pro started sending me his problem students, the ones with perfect swings but shattered confidence. I fixed a Fortune 500 CEO's stroke so effectively, he recommended me to his entire executive team. By my senior year, I was clearing $60,000 while maintaining my scholarship and a 3.7 GPA in business management. I developed a systematic approach to conquering performance anxiety, one that even golf magazines wanted to feature. Curtis hadn't been home in 18 months, always some crucial lab work. Then finally, the letter came from MIT, academic dismissal. Their 19-year-old genius had discovered frat parties, failed 4 consecutive semesters, and burned through $40,000 in student loans on bottle service and poker games. Curtis was out, degreeless, with 6 figures of debt and a coke habit he thought nobody knew about. Mom called while I was in my office, her voice cracking before she even said hello. She talked for 5 straight minutes about Curtis, how he'd been living at home for 6 months since getting expelled from MIT, how he couldn't find work, how he'd cry in his old computer lab that they couldn't bear to convert back. Dad joined the call, and they took turns explaining how their genius son needed help, needed his older brother, needed family. The same parents who forgot every one of my tournaments for Curtis's competitions, who made me apologize when he destroyed my golf club, who told me to be invisible so he could shine. Then Curtis got on the phone, his voice small and hollow, nothing like the cocky kid who said I'd be carrying bags for people like him. "Tyler, I know things were said, but you're my brother. Maybe I could work at your facility, handle the business side." I let the silence stretch until it hurt. "You were destined for Silicon Valley while I was destined for minimum wage, remember?" His sharp intake of breath was satisfying. Mom grabbed the phone back. "Tyler, he's your little brother. We always told you to look out for him." That's when I laughed, really laughed. "You told me to be invisible. You forgot my championships. You said golf was for dumb jocks. Where was this family first energy then?" Dad tried one more time. "Curtis is special. He just needs another chance." I looked at my PGA certification on the wall, thought about the CEO clients who paid $500 an hour for my lessons, and delivered the truth they'd never seen coming. Special? He's 21 with no degree and 6 figures of debt living in his childhood bedroom. I'm 23 running an elite golf program. Which one of us ended up special?